ready, man.
Let's hit the button.
Welcome to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast with your host, Brett Bovin. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show.
What up?
This is a cool voice.
It is pretty epic.
Yeah, that's. I was playing around with it, and I just couldn't stop just speaking random crap into it.
Oh yeah, man. You could get carried away with that for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Final show of the week.
Oh, I know. And then I did want to. Where'd the topic go?
News around the world.
So there's a
What do you
canine dog
I saw
right
that.
in our backyard that got stabbed. What did he do? He cut the dog's throat,
Yeah.
and then he got like charged with a whole bunch of different counts, and one was like almost like sexual assault. I don't know. I'm assuming all the other charges that were leading up to that, but
Yeah.
oh my gosh, anyone that attacks a police dog, I just no.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, the best part is that the dog lived.
Yeah, it's gonna make a full recovery from what I was
Yeah.
reading. So I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that and seeing what else happens to the type of charges that are going to be officially authorized and stuff like that on them.
It'll be the same as if that guy did it to a cop, to a person, because it's a sworn deputy. So
Yeah.
or
Well,
or a city dog, whatever, but they're treated just as officers. So
yeah, it's just sad, man. It's like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel the same way if it's a human being that, like a cop that got stabbed, but I think everyone feels certain ways towards animals, and I think it's just only because they can't think for themselves, I guess. I don't know if that's the word, the phrase I want to use.
It's just because you're a German Shepherd guy,
I
specifically.
know. And you know what's
Yeah.
weird? My wife, she was at work today, and two people, they were vets. She asked them, or I don't know, can't remember how the topic came up, but they were like, what's your least favorite family dog? And they both said German Shepherds. And they both said they're loyal to your family, but if they meet anybody else, they're just ruthless. I'm like, yeah, that's the point of German Shepherds.
Yeah, they definitely run the household.
They do.
But heck yeah, man. So we're going to wrap up Arkansas for the week. And we got a gang of dudes down here in Arkansas tonight.
Well, let's give them a round of applause. Yeah.
Get the dip.
All righty. How you guys doing?
Good. How are y'all? Doing great.
Oh, we're
Hey.
doing good.
We kept you guys in the virtual waiting room, and it sounds like you guys are just up moving around.
Yeah.
No, let's start the show, guys. Come on. Looks like you guys aren't even prepared. What the shit? And it sounds like one's putting in a dip.
I am. Hell yeah.
I already put mine in. You got to get that. That's the best part. What was the weather like down there for you guys today? We had close to 60 degrees up here.
About the
It's about the
same.
same. Little,
Okay.
It's cloudy, but yeah, it's about the same.
Yeah, that's pretty
Nice.
warm for us right now.
It's been nice this whole week's been real nice.
Yeah, same. I mean, compared to what we had, it got pretty cold for a couple weeks, but
Yeah.
overall, it's been a pretty mild winter for us.
We had that. I guess it was 2 weeks. It was just it froze everything down here. We had a big old freeze, but that's unusual for here.
Yeah. What part of Arkansas are you guys from?
Northeast.
Okay. And then if you could real quick, could you go around the room and say your name to everybody?
I'm Noah Bass.
I'm Jeremy Flanery.
I'm Skylar Bass.
Awesome. Couple of
You
bass
guys-
boys.
Brothers, cousins, or
Brothers.
Brothers. Me and Skylar are brothers, and Jeremy grew up with us. We're pretty much all brothers. Been together the whole time.
Yeah, when you asked for me to be on this, I was like, well, man, I've hunted with them pretty much my whole life, so they might well be in it too.
Oh
Hell
yeah, of course.
I'm jealous of your last name too, man. I'm a big fisherman.
Yeah, I've been trying out the live scope the last 2 days. Got a live scope trying to catch crappie. You know, I couldn't catch crappie before, and I still can't catch them now.
I tell you, don't feel too bad because I went to Texas with my buddy to fish Lake Fork, and he went and bought a live scope system, and we thought we were gonna go down there and just rip up every fucking fish that we found, but we couldn't figure out how to even work the damn thing.
Well, we got it set up right, but I mean, just because you see the fish, it turns out you can't catch them.
Yeah, it was like learning to fish all over again to me, and I was like, dude, fuck this. Like, I'm just gonna go and do what I always do. I'm just gonna sit right here and
go
cast.
fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
you get
I mean-
caught up chasing them.
Oh yeah. I mean, crappie would be, I think, a little bit more fun, and I think it would have been a little easier for me to adapt to it compared to, looking for spawning largemouth, because we were down there like early season trying to catch a big female.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I caught like a 5-pounder, but I mean that's nothing for Lake Fork. You know, I was trying to catch a 10-pounder.
Yeah.
But I mean,
What's
I
it
saw
like to
other
catch a
people.
bass? I've never
well-
caught one. I never caught one. And Dan
hey.
even took me bass fishing. And I still couldn't catch shit.
Well, if I remember correctly, the target of that day was we were trying to get you your first pike. And did you catch one?
Yes. At like the
Yeah.
very tier end of the day.
That's okay. That's all that matters. You're on the board.
Yeah. I was pretty excited about that. And man, after catching that pike, fuck catching bass. I don't give a shit about them. I just like catching
Well,
pike.
I'm telling you, if you catch the right bass, it's fun too. Bass fishing, I love that too. But yeah, I do love catching northern pike. That's fun.
And I
especially
do
in the
see a lot of those shows, those bass fishing shows, and a lot of them are in Arkansas. Like they do a lot of events in Arkansas.
Yeah, we have a lot of great bass
Yeah.
fishing down here. A lot.
And it looks like it's more of like I wouldn't say giant lakes or anything. It's more like rivers and creeks and stuff like that, where I've seen them on TV the most.
Yeah, we have only rivers right here. We don't have any big lakes around us. You know, within a 2-hour driving span, we don't have no big lakes around us here. It's all river fishing, oxbows, reservoirs.
Heck yeah. Do you guys find that you're more fishermen, or do you guys find that you chase whitetails more, or your passion's bigger for going after deer?
Going after
Definitely
deer
deer.
for sure. Yeah.
Hell yeah. And how long you guys been hunting?
Oh,
all of our
as
life.
long as I can remember.
That's
That's
awesome.
for sure.
And how old are you guys?
I'm 26.
I'm 31.
28.
Okay. So yeah, I'm new to it. I'm new to hunting. I'm pretty much a fisherman, but I love it. So I'm trying to learn as much as I can from as many different people. Do you guys find that you rely a lot on technology today, like trail cameras and stuff, or do you feel like you guys are more like old school, like going based off sign and topography and shit like that?
I feel like on my end, it's a little bit of both, because like this year, I picked up a new farm that I leased out, and I really relied on trail cameras to tell me what was in that farm instead of going in and disturbing the place constantly and looking. But I mean, as far as like, we hunt a lot of public ground around here, a lot of river bottom deer, and we've been fortunate enough to kill several, large river bottom deer. But growing up on the river, we kind of just go back every year. You just kind of get in the rhythm of, what the deer are going to do at what time of the year and where they're going to be. So just about on patterns really down here. I mean, you can run trail cameras, but I feel like for me, it's just going back and you can look at the same dates for the past 5 years on what you've done good on. Same weather conditions. When we get that first October cold front where we're getting a 20-degree difference in weather, you can just about bet you're going to get a chance at a good one.
When's the rut kind of generally down there in Arkansas?
About November the 1st is when it really kicks off getting good. And they'll go into lockdown by the 12th, 13th. They'll start going into lockdown. You'll start getting, people videoing those bucks out in the middle of fields laying down with their doe and stuff like that. They're already locked down. It don't take them long here. But they really start getting fired up around the 25th of October. Halloween Day, I've killed more big deer on Halloween Day than any other day of the year. So every Halloween I'm hunting. I can promise you that.
Hell yeah. I have to take my kids trick-or-treating, and then I usually work. I usually work during the day. But man, yeah, like a lot of the videos that I watch on YouTube and shit, man, yeah, Halloween seems pretty unanimous that
It's
it's
my
less
favorite
people.
For
Yeah,
sure.
Halloween had fallen a weekend for me to go hunt.
Yeah.
I'm more of a. I work 4 days a week, so I'm more of like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, unless I use
Okay.
vacation.
Yeah.
Oh man, that sounds like a perfect schedule right there.
I wing
Not
it.
gonna lie.
I wing it like whenever I can go. This past year it was mainly just weekends, but
Oh yeah.
I feel like
I've done
Go
told
ahead.
my foreman that I'm gonna be off April 15th. That's opening day of turkey season, and it always falls on a Monday, so it kind of screws everything up. I don't know.
yeah, it seems like turkey hunting's pretty big down in Arkansas.
Yeah, there's a
If
lot
you
of
got
pressure.
turkeys, but it's real pressured, and it's just a bunch of the public ground just don't got much turkeys.
Well,
I've
feel
hunted-
free to come up to Michigan whenever. There's plenty of them up here.
Yeah, we don't got very many. in
I've
Arkansas.
hunted from Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, chasing turkeys down, and I promise you, if you can kill a turkey in Arkansas, you can kill it anywhere.
That's good practice, though.
Kansas was like shooting fish in a barrel.
Oh, okay.
Oh wow.
I got a lease in the hills, and I'm lucky enough I got several turkeys on it. But that's all I do on it is turkey hunt. I don't even deer hunt it anymore. Just strictly turkey hunt it.
That's cool.
There's several on that usually.
So, how was your guys' hunting season? Did you guys, consider it a good year? Was it one of those learning years? Like, how'd you guys do?
I mean, I killed a small 8-point, and several doe, but that's about all I killed this year. It wasn't the best year, but I mean, I put meat in the freezer.
Hell yeah.
I killed like I say on Halloween, I killed a big one on Halloween. And but as far as previous years, coming into this season, we had high hopes because last year we had a lot of 3-year-old, 4-year-old deer that made it. But we, like I say, we do a lot of public hunting around here, a lot of river bottom hunting. And before season come in this year, we had a little bit of a poaching problem on the river. Yeah. And I think they ended up, I don't know, you hear different people talk on different things, but I know there was 9 bucks found that I heard about with their heads cut off that had been shot before season. So, I mean, that took a big toll on us this year.
And 2 of them got found wounded, but still had the head on.
Yeah. So
Velvet buck?
They
What
were
the shit?
dead, but they wounded them and they ended up dying. But yeah, still those giants too.
Giant velvet bucks, probably.
They had just shed velvet.
Yeah, some
Okay.
of them shed. I know a lot of the farmers and stuff that were finding them were pretty upset because on that side of the river they, they spend quite a bit of money on growing these deer, and to find them like that, not how any of us want to find them.
Yeah.
Especially that number of them. I mean, and you could tell hunting the river this year, which pressure is a big thing now. We're getting more and more pressure every year. You take back 5 years ago when us 3 was hunting the river, we could hunt the river for a week and we might see 1 or 2 other people. And it seemed like this year, there was 12, 15 boats in every parking lot the whole deer season until duck season come in, then there's the hundreds of trucks in the parking lot. But
Yeah.
this
Week
deer
before
season, a lot of pressure.
duck season come in, you got 20 boats waiting in line for Saturday. It's gotten crazy. The pressure.
And
What-
is that a reason why you guys hunt out of state? Or
I
do
don't-
you just hunt out of state because you enjoy, hunting different territories?
I don't hunt out of state. I strictly hunt Arkansas, which I ain't been able to go anywhere else. But he's hunted a bunch of Missouri a bunch.
Yeah, I had a buddy. He owned a good farm up north of Missouri that I got to hunt every year, and it's a whole different ball game going up north compared to Arkansas. And I'll say it. I mean, Arkansas's. I mean, I've hunted different states for deer, and it's just like turkeys. Arkansas just seems to me like it's the hardest state, even though I live here and I'm here all the time. I feel like I can go to North Missouri and kill a deer in a week compared to I spend one whole season down here trying to kill a big one. And that's how it played out for me in North Missouri. I could go a week and I could kill a big one, but it's going to take a whole season here, for me to get on a big one.
Is it because like the quantity of mature bucks down there, or is it like, or just the amount of hunters down there they're putting pressure on these deer?
It's both. We don't have just a ginormous deer herd like most northern states, or even, and South Arkansas has got a big deer herd, but they're just, hell, they don't grow giant antlers eating pine needles most of the time, and that's about all that's down there.
Yeah.
Pine trees everywhere.
So that plays a big part into it. We don't have just a real big deer herd, and then what we have is pressured so hard. Them big ones, I mean, we duck hunt a lot too, and even like say we get a 12-foot river, you won't find any dry ground unless you're on a big ridge down there, and there ain't but a couple of them that'll be dry. But you'll motor through the duck hole, and the big deer you've been chasing all year be laying on a log in that water. I mean, they'll get out there and hide on them falling down trees and everything else.
Oh shit!
Yeah, they feel safe because anything that comes in there on them, any predator, they're gonna hear them coming in the water. So they feel safe just laying out there on the dang tree stump.
Yeah, my dad swears by it. He says if you want to kill a big deer, you hunt waist deep water. He said they feel so safe, and you can hear. He said you can take a nap and hear them coming from a mile. He said, but they'll never look up if they're in waist deep water because they don't feel like there's any predator around them.
Yeah, that was my next question. What are you guys looking for if you're kind of hunting in those river bottoms? What's like a spot that you're like looking on a map or that you're seeing in the field that's like, I gotta put a stand in this area? Like, what draws you guys the most to a certain area? What do you guys look for?
The thickest cover I can find.
Yeah, if you can set somewhere where you can only shoot 20 yards and see 30, it's going to be your best chance. Because these deer down here, they're so pressured, and they're not coming out of the thickets until dark. I mean, unless they get on a hot doe, like this year on Halloween, I got on a hot doe, and I had 8 bucks come underneath me at the same time, and I shot the biggest one of the 8. But if there's not, I went right back in there after killing him. And for 2 days straight, I hunted the same spot because there was another shooter in the group, and we're 2-buck state. And, after I had shot the other one and we went in there and got him out 2 days straight, I sat on the edge of a thicket because there was no way to get into the thicket and hunt. And I really didn't want to go in there and bust it up anyways. And I seen deer, the same group of bucks running that doe in that thicket for 2 days, but they never would come out of it after I'd shot the one.
Man.
Hey, man, you're at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, that's all it is, really. Being at the right place at the right time. Everybody knows how that is.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's trying to make the educated guess is where I feel like the knowledge and the experience plays in, because I feel like Mother Nature is always going to throw you a curveball, but as long as you can just make the most educated guess, then you're setting yourself up. Did you guys hunt with bows and guns, or you guys like strictly one or the other?
Well, we do both.
Where we are, it's pretty much you hunt with a bow. You got 2 days on the shotgun hunt and then 3-day Christmas hunt, and that's about it around here. So we usually, which the public ground's bow only anyway, but we usually all go down South Arkansas and we rifle hunt down there quite a bit.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, we go to South Arkansas to fill the freezer.
Yeah. We go down there and shoot the pine needle deer to get some meat.
I definitely prefer the bow strongly, but when it gets like really cold and it's gun season, that's when, I tend to want to use the firearm because I can layer up heavier. I don't really have to worry about like my range of motion as much, and I just kind of hunker down with my gun. But I mean, other than that, I try to always use my bow because I'm new to it. So I'm just trying to get as much experience as I can with my bow.
We really don't get that cold weather where we got to bundle up that much. So
No.
we usually got to dress real light.
Yeah, I'm jealous. You know, to remind us that you don't get cold weather down there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get cold pretty easy, but I mean, a lot of the mornings were like the most ideal opportunity for me to get out this year, just because I got kids at home. And a lot of the mornings I go out, you know, it'd be 20 degrees, 15. So, I mean, that's cold to me, you know, and like my hands would get cold and I'm like, man, I just want to put on thicker gloves and take the shotgun today.
There you
Yeah, I
go.
understand that.
You guys have families?
Yeah. I just had a boy. Actually, my son was born 3 weeks ago. He's my first one.
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations, man.
I got a little boy and a little girl.
Heck
Nice.
yeah.
I got a 9-month-old son.
Awesome.
Oh, congratulations.
Man, yeah, I got 3 boys. I'm trying to get my oldest into hunting. The 2 littles, they don't have the attention span yet.
Yeah.
But they're cool with deer. I shot a 3-point this year, which is my biggest buck so far. And I was able to have my boys come out and like it was all bloody and had ticks on it and they just were hugging all over it. So
That's good.
I definitely think that there's a potential passion there with the kids, but yeah, I'm trying to get them involved as much as I can.
Yeah, my little boy, he turns 6 next year, and he can start hunting next year, which he goes with me some, and he's 8 up with it. He's ready for him to be able to legally hunt.
That's awesome.
So they start at 6 years old down there?
Yeah, 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
They used to not be that much of a rule, and they had to write it in the book because all of a sudden these 3 and 4 year olds were killing these monster bucks
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
youth hunt. So they made it a requirement to be 6.
Yeah.
Man,
That's awesome. People always risking it for the biscuit.
That's
Oh, yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah, that youth weekend usually falls on a good weekend too.
Yeah.
The weather's usually perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, the youth hunt's always the best.
Yeah, it's always the first weekend of November, so
Yeah.
they're chasing pretty hot and heavy. And 9 times out of 10, the youth hunt will be a cold front weekend, and it's always good.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
permit hunts on the WMAs we bow hunt, and you can't even be on it during that weekend. And it's usually the best weekend.
My
Yeah,
dad never got me into youth hunting.
the first deer I ever killed was when I was 16. And I did that on a youth hunt weekend. I shot one with my 12 gauge and then hadn't hunted until I was 30. So I took like a big gap before I got into it.
Just a little gap.
Well, one of my childhood buddies that I grew up with, they were a big outdoorsman family and they took me hunting and fishing. So yeah, I did a youth duck hunt one time when I was 14 and I shot a wood duck and a goose. That was pretty fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we do a lot of duck hunting down here, which, you know, we got the duck capital of the world down here, and we got a place actually. Skylar's in-laws own a place down there, so we get to go down there and hunt. Which we got some of the best duck hunting in the state right here where we live. We don't have to drive 10 minutes, and this year was a very dry, warm year for duck hunting too.
Yeah, no
You
water
know,
whatsoever.
No water. The river.
What time of year is duck season down there?
It just ended. It comes in the 3rd weekend of November, and it goes out January 31st.
Okay.
And if we get a big river down here, we can normally smack the ducks pretty hard, but we didn't get a big river until the last 2 weeks of season this year.
Stayed real low, and all the pressure, like we said, people were parked. 20 trucks were parked week before season came in, waiting in line, and with as much water we had up the first month, you couldn't get away from people. So everybody was congested in one little area trying to kill ducks, and they're smarter than that.
That's how it is when the steelhead run around here. It's just everybody and their brother. I did that one time when I was like 16 And I said, to hell with this shit. Like, I'd rather go catch them on big water, because it was just like people right next to you. Everybody was getting tangled, and I was a little kid. So if anybody got tangled with me, they were just cutting my line. Like they'd look over and they'd be like, okay, snip, snip. Toss my shit back in there. I was like, what the hell? I was like, they must be able to tell I'm not from around here. I was like, fuck this. I was like, I don't even see what all the fun's about anyway. But yeah, it gets frustrating when there's just so many people trying to do the same thing.
Oh yeah.
So you said that you killed a 3-point this year, and that was your biggest buck, right? Is that
Yeah.
is that your first buck or just your biggest?
My second with my bow. The buck that I shot when I was 16 was a 7-point, a little small 7-point. And then last year, my first year hunting with my bow, I shot a spike and a doe. And then this year I shot a 3-point at my parents'. And then I was given some opportunities this year, but I learned a lot.
It up.
Yeah, I learned a lot. And then a couple weeks ago,
I'm supposed to bleep myself when I fucking swear. So I can't fucking, damn it. Shit. I can't make it. Sorry, Dan, to cut you off. I didn't mean, I'm trying not to fucking swear anymore and bleep it out and shit.
But I did do a couple sits down in Southern Ohio a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I had an opportunity at a big 10-point that came in, and he heard me. He heard my arrow. He heard me when I started to draw back, and yeah, I couldn't get it done. When he came back into shooting range, I couldn't see my sight because I was in a deer blind. So I couldn't see, and it was too dark. It started to rain, and I was like, if I take this shot, I'm really forcing it. And I didn't want to fuck up on a big deer like that. But yeah, I had some
still can't believe
opportunities.
he heard you though in a box blind.
Well, he was really hesitant because when we got there that day, we added some fresh corn, and he knew that the corn was like just resupplied. So he every step he was taking closer to the corn, he was looking right at my stand. And then he didn't really spook and like run away when he heard me. He was circling the blind. So like he didn't run off, but he was definitely on high alert. And then when he came back to the corn, I couldn't even see my bow. Everything was just pitch black in there, and the windows were tinted. So I had to let him walk, but I almost got it done. And he would have been by far my biggest buck. And also I did have some opportunities in Michigan, where I live. But I missed a big buck this year. I shot under one that I stopped him, and it was an area that I didn't have time to range him at the time. And it wasn't a spot that I had already in the past, like knew that it was one of my shooting lanes. So I had to guess, and I thought he was about 40 yards away, but he was more like 50, and I shot under him. And yeah, that sucked. I definitely wanted to jump off a tree, but but I know all my hunting mentors that have, kind of taken me under their wing, that's one of the first things that they all said was, it's highs and lows, and it's not always going to be, you killing a deer. Like, you're going to get humbled out there. And I did.
Oh yeah, they'll find a way to humble you.
Mm-hmm.
I've been fortunate enough to kill several big deer, but if I've killed all the big deer that I've shot at, even, I would have doubled my numbers for sure.
So that's a quick question. So how many years have you guys each individually been hunting for? I know we talked about, but how many years specific?
I'm going to have to say I'm 26 years old. I've been in it since I was 6 years old, because me and Skylar's dad, he was an outdoorsman big time when we were growing up. So, I mean, I remember days when I was in preschool and kindergarten, first grade, he would come pulling into school. We went to a little town school, so he'd come pulling in there and say, here, come out here real quick and look at this deer. So we'd go out of class and go outside school, look at this deer he shot, and then he'd take us back in there. Or he'd show up at 9 o'clock in the morning and say, we're shooting the shit out of ducks. Y'all boys better come. And he'd check us out of school. We'd go duck hunting,
That's awesome.
I guess the question I was leading up to that was what would you tell the newcomers to hunting to have that mental toughness of you miss a deer of any caliber to kind of learn from it and gain experience? What would you tell those people to be like, don't give up on hunting just because you had that miss? What would you tell people that? Any advice like that?
I'm going to say on top of that, like you said, don't give up, because I have 10 deer on my wall, in my house, shoulder mounted over 140 inches, but that's between Arkansas and Missouri. And I've missed at least that many, and I can tell you right now, the top three to get where I'm at. And then you can see the deer that Jeremy's killed back here. If I was to even kill the top 3 deer that I've missed, it would replace the top 3 deer that I have killed.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it seems like up until really, I think last year was the first year in many years I killed a big one without missing a big one before it. And that goes a lot with bow hunting. I mean, this deer you see back behind Jeremy's shoulder over here, Jeremy shot that deer. We were hunting, and he shot that deer, and that deer wasn't found until a week later. And a guy actually found it. And
oh, wow.
It was just a bad shot. And it just so happened to turn out a guy we was working with was at the boat ramp and ran into another guy that had found the deer. And he was like, hey, you wouldn't happen to know anybody that shot a big 9-point down here, would you? And he's like, yeah, I actually would. And it just was a freak deal how it all worked out, because then he sent a pin to where this deer was to Jeremy, and me and Jeremy went in there. And I mean, as soon as you got out of the boat on the river, it was probably a half mile back there, but we could smell it the whole time going back there to it.
How far away was it from where you shot him?
It was a pretty good ways from where I shot him, but from the last spot we seen him, it wasn't very far.
Yeah.
No, but
it seems like that's how it goes.
He'd crossed a slough on us and then crossed a ditch on us. And,
we lost blood at the water, and then we ended up going around it, and we was walking down back to the woods and ended up seeing him. I guess it was him, and he looked like he was perfectly fine. And from the direction he was walking, he probably wasn't 100 yards from where we were found dead.
That's awesome, though, that you were still able to get him out and that he wasn't too badly decomposed or tore up from predators.
Yeah, the guy I used to work with, he sent me the picture of it. He's like, this looked like the deer you shot. And I was like, that's exactly the deer I shot.
Yeah, and then we got into the same deal last year. I shot a big 12-point last year. I shot him, which I've learned over the years, another tip that I've come up with is I never go in of a morning in the dark. I always wait until I got some gray light. I don't use my lights going in, and it seems like over the past 3 years that's worked better for me. Just not going in super early and bumping deer. I'm waiting until I got daylight to walk in. Like I say, we're doing a lot of public ground hunting out of a boat. So I've been walking in at 7 o'clock in the morning instead of going at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I've been having better luck seeing deer. And I don't know if it's just something to do with going in there early and them hearing you and seeing your light and busting out of there or whatnot. But last year I went in with my cousin and we walked a good ways. It's actually the longest I've ever walked, and I do not want to ever have to do it again. But we walked about 3/4 of a mile back there, and I got up my tree, and I didn't even get my jacket off, and I shot a 160-inch 12-point chasing a doe within 5 minutes of being in the stand. And I shot that deer at right at 7 o'clock in the morning. And by the time I put my hands on him, it was 7 o'clock at night, and we had jumped him 3 times through the day.
Wow.
Damn.
and he swam another big slough on us too. But I guess when he swam the slough, it took it out of him. But it was a disaster. I had when I'd shot him, I didn't know what deer it was. I just knew he was big, and I went to my father's house and I told him, and my cousin that was hunting with me, he was like, "Hey man, I'm just," because I called him, and he's like, "There's no way you done shot a big deer," and I was like, "Dude, I swear." I was like, "I just got in the stand and I turned around and he was chasing a doe, and I shot him at 35 yards." And so I left my cousin. He was like, "Well, I'm going to stick it out for a while. Just bring the truck back at like noon, and I'm going to come out, and you can pick me up." And I was like, "Well, about noon, I figured we'll come in there and look for him." Because when there was instant blood and there was good blood, well, I had about 4 or 5 guys, and we went in there at noon and tracked him for about 200 yards, and we got up to a brush pile and jumped him up out of a brush pile. Well, when he took off running, he ran. So I got behind him because he wasn't running full speed. And he got up in front of me about 200 yards, and I seen him go into another brush pile and lay down. So I was like, well, let's back out. I don't want to push him again. So we backed out, and we come back at, I think, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we jumped him up out of that brush pile. And then when he came out of that brush pile, he ran about 200 yards, and we watched him fall, and he kicked around for a little bit, and he stood up and went about another 200 yards and fell again. And I was like, well, we know what line he's taking. Let's back out. And we come back right at dark, and we found where he crossed the slough, and he was laying on the opposite side of the slough bank. I mean, I hate to, you want to kill him quick and easy, but that's just right there. That's bow hunting for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm glad you were able to get him, and I'm sure the buck that I shot last year, I put a bad shot on him. I shot him in the gut, and yeah, we went and got him the next day. We found him, but like the guys who were helping me look for him, like we were just getting ready to call it quits, and then we ended up finding him. But yeah, it was pretty far. He was like 4 properties over. It took us a while to find him. I mean, they weren't huge properties, but still, it was seeing what that animal could do after I shot him and my arrow went like straight through him. I was surprised, and that was a young deer, probably a 1-year-old.
Oh, they're tough animals. That's for sure.
A deer's will to live is
crazy.
Freaking insane.
Yeah,
probably better than human.
Yeah,
I'd say so.
Yeah, you've seen like people say they found a deer they've shot, and deer he'd packed his wound full of dirt and pine needles, whatever. It's crazy what they can endure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I did fuck up last year too, and I shot one right through the backstrap. He lived though. We ended up getting pictures of him later in the season, and he was fine. But yeah, that was a lesson learned too. If I would have just been patient and let him keep walking the path that he was walking, I would have had a perfect, easy shot. But I rushed it and got excited, and I peeked. I peeked before I followed through with the shot, and then I ended up pulling my bow. I
missed a good one with my muzzleloader this year too, so I messed up too.
Yeah, I mean, I had a hell of a time though. I feel like I learned, twice as much as I did last year, so that's a win for me. And I think when I hunt this fall that I'll be more prepared than I was last year and the year before. So if I can just keep doing that, then I'll be happy. I think I'll get I'll keep getting opportunities. I'll seal the deal eventually.
Oh yeah, it's learning every year. It don't matter how many you kill. I mean, even the guys that, the juries on TV and all of them, it's learning. They talk about learning every year. So, I mean, I know I'll never know everything I want to know, because one day we'd all like to be at, the places they're at with whitetails. But, it's all about learning, and you got to play the card you're dealt. And we try to do our best at just playing the card we're dealt. We stay after them hard. We don't give them no breaks. That's for sure.
Yeah, if you don't, somebody else will.
No.
Hey, Dan, I wanted to say something and you cut me off like a dick. Okay. Can I say something now?
Okay, I'm finished.
Okay, I appreciate it. I don't even remember what I was going to say now.
Yep.
No, I always say, for instance, when I was growing up, I've always had those problems of rushing shots with my bow, and I only hunt with a bow. And I shot this deer. He was a nice 8-pointer. He was going to be my biggest 8-pointer at my time. I think I was 17, I can't remember exactly, but he was at 50 yards, and 55 was like my max for me at that time. And then all of a sudden, the bow, I don't know what the fuck happened, but it was going, and then all of a sudden just dove down. The arrow just dove right below him. No idea what the fuck happened. I think I rushed something or whatever, but after that point, I got to figure out what can I do to always have muscle memory. And one thing that I always do when I tell other people is, if you're going to hunt with a bow, what you should basically be doing is practice your form and just looking at a target, basically March through July, maybe August. Then August comes around to September. Then you get like those 3D targets. And then that's when you start dialing in, getting your eyesight picture of looking at an actual deer of those Glen targets. And that's what I do. And that's when I start working on distance controls and stuff like that. Because then I can fall back on that form. And my dad always told me, it's like, hold back, take a couple breaths, shoot. And then you have to hold there for like a minute before you can move. And you just keep doing that time and time again. And then eventually you're just going to be doing that in the stand. And that's what's worked for me. And my dad, we even got to the point where he was training me to do like push-ups and jumping jacks to get my heart rate going. Yeah. But anything to get my heart rate up and going, just kind of be like unsettled, because that's to simulate being out in the field, and that happens. And I realized, man, I can do that more often. That was a huge game changer for me on my archery success.
Yeah, repetitions.
Yep, basically.
Yeah.
That's the hard part for me.
Don't listen to him. He shoots a fucking crossbow.
Yeah.
He got one of them Ravens.
Strictly, or do you just incorporate?
I have both. No. So what was it? Me and Jeremy used to work together, and we was doing some underground line pulling, and I messed up my shoulder 2 years ago. So that year it was either shoot a crossbow or don't bow hunt at all, because I couldn't pull back my bow. And then this year I bought the same bow I sold that year. I bought it back, and so I used a little bit of both this year. And then, but yeah, I mean, I will tell you this: shooting the Raven, it's hard to mess up with one of them things.
Yeah.
Well, no shit.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we don't cut him any slack.
Yeah, I don't get cut no slack. I can promise you that.
Hey, well, I will tell you this, man. I feel your pain on the shoulder surgery, because I had a shoulder surgery too, and that shit sucks.
Yeah.
So
we actually, speaking of crossbows, we had a guy about 30 miles to the north of us, actually this season, killed the world record here in Arkansas with a crossbow velvet buck.
World record velvet crossbow buck.
How far from you guys?
About 30 miles.
Yeah.
Same county.
He's about...
How big was it?
I don't... 189, 187 inches velvet buck that was killed, but it was a world record velvet crossbow buck.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I couldn't. He took it to, I guess he didn't even know it, and then he took it to the Arkansas Big Buck Classic and figured out, like, dang, I just shot the world record velvet crossbow buck, didn't even know it. Which he was hunting only that other farm I had picked up this year. He was within 10 minutes of that farm that I have now. But
oh wow.
He said that he had shot, I'm pretty sure he'd shot the buck last year and wounded it, and I think it only had one nut too, because I talked a little bit about it, and that's what kept it from losing its velvet, because we don't have a velvet season here. So we don't get to kill velvet bucks. And then when he shoots this big velvet buck, everybody's like, what the hell's going on here? You know what I mean?
I was about to ask if you can't hunt.
6th of October, and you just killed a 190-inch velvet buck. You're going to have to answer some questions. But it was all legit, but it turned out to be the world record velvet buck.
That's crazy.
Huh.
Yeah, with
Well,
the crossbow.
I've heard of people killing hermaphrodite deer too.
Yeah.
So-
there was actually a guy down here in a little town called Delplain. He killed a doe with horns. 10 years ago. I still remember it. They were pushing deer out of thickets, and he shot it, and it was a doe with horns.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was a big
I've
one.
heard- wow.
Yeah, and that probably something related is why that buck was still having velvet. Is because it's something to do with this testosterone.
Yeah.
Well, you remember the one right down the road?
Yeah,
a
there
couple
was
years ago?
there was one killed right down the road here in town. A town deer killed, and it was killed late season, December. I'm pretty sure it was killed, and it was 100. It was a
huge.
large deer, and it was killed late season, full velvet, but it didn't have its testicles either. They'd been ripped off, by a fence or something like that.
Okay.
And I was actually a part of killing a velvet buck. That was, it was just a freak of nature. It didn't score much, and it
Non-typical.
wasn't much. It was just a non-typical blob on top of this deer's head. But I will tell you this: when the girl I was dating at the time, it was on her family's land that I was hunting, and that was the easiest deer to pattern that I've ever patterned in my life. I knew on the first day of bow season that we could go get in this ground blind at 4:50, and by 6:30, this deer was going to be dead. And that's exactly how it was, because she wanted to hunt it that morning. And I said, no, you're wasting time. I've watched the deer do the same thing for 45 days straight. He's not going to change. And we killed him that first afternoon of archery season. And it was just a velvet, non-typical blob of antler coming out of this deer's head, and the deer didn't have his testicles either.
Do you guys have piebalds down there?
Nah, not to speak of. You might hear of one every 15 years or so, but
I seen one. It's I guess 3 years ago. It was in South Arkansas, and it was just a little bitty buck.
Because we have one right now, actually, like right down the road from me, and there's been people just talking about, yeah, I saw this piebald right next to the golf course, actually on the golf course that I golf on, and I thought it was pretty cool to see. I've seen photos of them here in Michigan, mainly up in the UP, but not to be right down the fucking road from me.
yeah.
But yeah, those are pretty cool to see actually in person.
I've seen an albino deer before in Michigan.
Really?
Yeah.
They're bad luck to shoot, ain't they? Ain't that what everybody says? You can't shoot albino, it's bad luck.
They're illegal to shoot here in Michigan.
That may be why
I'm
it's
fairly
bad luck.
certain. I'm not entirely sure, but it was my buddy when we were kids. It was living in his backyard, but they also lived about a mile from a zoo, maybe even a half mile from the zoo. And I want to say that it may have escaped from the zoo, and they weren't hunting it. Like, they wanted it to live on their property, and I'm pretty sure it got hit by a car. Yeah, but it was 100% albino, and I'd see it come in, and it would feed in their backyard. I saw him multiple times before it got whacked.
Oh man, that's
Good
sad.
not to see.
Yeah, but I've never seen a piebald deer before. I'd love to.
I've never seen either one.
You can actually hunt piebalds in Michigan. You just can't hunt an albino one because they're like rare or something. I don't know. Obviously they're rare, but they just look fucking weird. Oh, I'm sorry. They look
like
fucking
a
weird.
mountain goat.
So what kind of stuff do y'all hunt up there? Like, here we're hunting a lot of big river bottoms. What do y'all hunt up there? Creeks or?
Mainly
Well-
deep timber woods and some ag fields, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty much always in the woods. Yeah. But I haven't had, huge properties to hunt so far. But I will be hunting a new place this hunting season that does have a little bit of everything. So I'm going to continue to learn this year. It'll be a little bit of a learning curve because I'm definitely comfortable hanging my tree stand now, and I just kind of like being in the woods. So I probably will feel uncomfortable hunting like over a field or a food plot because I haven't really done much of that yet. But
I've seen this place that he's talking about. It's giving me a hunting boner because it looks fucking amazing. I was like, just looking at it from the map, I was like, oh, you can do so much with this place.
Yeah.
I've given him some tips of what he needs to do with the place. If I had it, oh man.
The 3-pointer that I shot this year was at my parents', and they only have a few acres. But it butts right up to a large cornfield, and for that being the only access that I really had for the majority of the season, I got lucky, man. Like there was deer around me all the time, so it was fun. So, and I was able to learn a lot. But what you said earlier about your approach to walking in at that certain time, I might try to adapt that, because that was my biggest obstacle hunting at my parents this year. Is every morning on the walk in, I was jumping deer everywhere.
Yeah.
Like
walking in here, deer blowing at you.
Yeah, like I would just put my head down and like not even look, and I knew I knew like what was happening all around me. And on like one of the first mornings that I went out there, I right before I cut in off the trail to go towards my tree stand, I happened to see a reflection of eyes, and they were much lower than all the other eyes that I had been seeing. So I couldn't help myself, but I looked right at it, and all of a sudden the eyes went from here to here, and it was a big ass buck who was bedded. He was bedded 15 yards from my tree stand, and I was just like, God damn it! Like, should I even hunt? But like that was one of the first mornings, and almost every morning I walked in there, like there was deer everywhere, but they seemed to return, but not the big ones. So I don't know. And I didn't think about going in later. I just kept going in earlier and earlier, and never helped.
Same here.
Never helped.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell? Am I going to have to just go to, fall
go to
asleep
sleep
up
in
here?
the tree?
Yeah.
Get in the day before and just sleep there.
The last 3 big deer that I've killed, I've went in 30 minutes after daylight every time.
I think of that, guys.
Okay.
And 3 years ago when I killed my big one, Skylar actually I called Skylar on the way to work, and I was like, man, something is it was right there. I think it was either Halloween or the day before Halloween, and I was headed to work here in town, and I told Skylar, I said, my gosh, I just need to be, I feel like today I need to be hunting. So you're looking at, it was already 6:30, and Skylar's like, well, turn your ass around and go get your bow, go get in the tree. He said, if I was hunting today, this is the tree I'd be in. And I was like, man, you know what? And so I just pulled a Yui in the highway, and I come home, got my bow, and went and got in the tree that he's like, if I was hunting, I would be in this tree today. I just got a feeling that's where they're going to be. And I wasn't in the tree 10 minutes, and I called him. I said, I just shot a damn big one again. He's like, are you shitting me? I was like, no. I was like, I'm literally in the tree you told me to be in, and I ain't been here 10 minutes. And that's another thing. I didn't even get out there until 8:00. And, by 8:30, I'd hung my hanging hunt set and was calling him saying, hey, I just shot a deer out of the tree that you said you would be in. Sorry to tell you that, but
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
That's happened actually to me and him more than once. Every time he tells me, man, if I was hunting today, I'd be here. I'm going to change whatever I'm doing, and I'm going there because he's not going to go, and I'm going to shoot one out of that tree that day.
It's not that I'm not going to go. I'm always working.
Yeah. I feel you on that.
And it is what it is.
Yeah, man. I almost have like a permanent anxiety during hunting season that like, it seems like whenever I can't hunt is when it just looks ideal.
Oh yeah.
Go to work and
And
get game camera pictures of deer. Like,
yeah.
I'd be hunting.
Yeah, like
that's the thing with especially the new cell cameras.
Yeah.
That's a love-hate relationship for me because I love the fact that it gives me real-time feed, but when you're at work and that deer you're after standing in front of it, you're instantly pissed off and ready to go home.
Yeah.
I remember
you
this
on
one
that.
time. It was a couple days. A couple days ago, I was like going through my photos. I got a notification of my trail camera going off. It wasn't hunting season, but I was still pissed. This giant buck was right in front of my stand. I yelled out, "Fuck! I've been hunting all year." And then all of a sudden, you show up next to my tree stand, and everyone's like, "What's wrong with Brett? What's wrong with him?" I'm like, "Nothing." I stormed out of the office. I was like, "Fuck this bullshit."
Yeah, or you hunt a big deer 5 days straight, and then you're like, you know what? I'm gonna take a break, and then you don't go that sixth morning, and you get a picture of him there, and you're like, "Are you shitting me?" At that point, you realize that the deer's got to be hunting you too.
Yeah.
Because we see that a lot down here with the big mature deer. Is they get on a pattern, and then you go in of a pattern hunting them, and then as soon as you break their pattern, they come back. And that obviously, right off the bat, if you hunt 5 days straight and don't see a deer, and on the sixth day you don't go and he's there, he knows where and when you're coming from. He's got you pegged just like you think you got him pegged, so it's time to change it up and do something else. Come in from a different direction or use a different wind or something, and I'm a big fan of Adam Hayes, and, he's one of the Conquest guys, and he does all the stuff for, I don't know, the Deer Society and stuff like that. And he put a video out a couple years ago that says you always want to hunt a deer when the wind and the conditions is best for that deer and not you. And so I stopped hunting when the conditions were best for me and started hunting when the conditions were best for that deer that I was hunting.
That makes sense.
That's smart.
That
Sorry
goes
about
back
that.
to the playing chess with them.
Yeah, or just getting plain lucky. I like when you get plain lucky when you're in the stand 5 minutes.
I'd rather be lucky than good.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
That back a couple years ago, Skylar and Jeremy and me, we decided we were going to go hunt the river, and they dropped me off on one side of the river, and I'll never forget this day. Because, everybody's shooting for that 200-inch mark, right? Everybody wants to kill a 200-inch deer. I got to kill a 200-inch deer.
I don't want to shoot that, but thanks for including me in that group of people.
You'd shoot one. You wouldn't pass a 200.
Yeah, they had dropped me off, and I went and got up in the tree, and they had all got settled in, and we were sitting there texting back and forth, and this doe runs to my right. And what I saw behind her, I will never forget, because the Shane Frost deer was killed down here in 2016. It scored 236 inches gross, 216 as a net, I think's what it was when he killed it. And I seen that deer. I seen that deer at 30 yards.
That same deer?
That same deer. 2 weeks before he killed it, I seen that deer at 30 yards. Now, I wasn't hunting. I was in my pickup truck, and the damn thing was standing in the middle of the highway. And so we stopped and looked at it, and he ended up killing it 2 weeks after that. And that deer I seen behind that doe that day that they had dropped me off, I'm going to tell you, was 20 to 30 inches bigger than that deer.
Oh,
and
dang.
I had him at 45 yards chasing a doe, and I tried everything I could to stop him. And still to this day, he's the biggest deer that I've ever seen on the hoof, for sure. And, after seeing the Shane Frost deer and then seeing that deer and seeing visibly being able to tell that deer was bigger than the deer that Shane Frost had killed, it blew my mind, because, how big, you always just wonder how big was he really, or, you could have shot the deer and had another state record or something, and I don't guess anybody ended up killing the deer, because we damn sure would have heard about it.
He probably looked like he was about to tip over, man.
Yeah, I thought
they thought I was lying, because I was the first one out of this group that seen that deer, and I seen it at the same place out of a pickup
the
truck
Shane Frost deer
about 4 days before Noah did. And I got home and was telling Noah and Dad about it, and they're like, "Oh, whatever, it wasn't that big." And then Noah comes back like 3 or 4 days later, and he's like, "You're not lying. That's the biggest deer I've ever seen." And I was like, "Yeah, it's huge. It's huge." I was like, I almost ran it over. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I might have hit my gas instead of my brakes to try to, but it didn't work.
If you can't hunt it in the tree,
That's for that deer.
that's
That's
the one?
crossbuck. Yeah, they
Okay.
got full body mounted.
That looks fake.
oh wow.
So we live here in Paragould, Arkansas, and Shane actually lives on the other side of town here in Paragould, and we got to go in. He let us come in and see the deer,
And
last
he's
year.
got some big deer on his wall.
Yeah,
That's cool.
he's killed some very large deer.
What was that taken again with?
That he shot that with a bow.
Yeah, bow.
But I think it was another 2-day adventure deal on finding it. I'm pretty sure because
wow.
he had shot it and they couldn't find it, and I'm pretty sure they found it 2 days after he shot it.
Well, hopefully that deer just
I
dumped
could be
loads
wrong
all
about
over.
that, but I'm pretty sure it was a 2-day ordeal trying to find him.
That's
Well, hopefully his genetics are still running strong through there.
Yeah,
We ain't seen him.
I ain't seen him. we see some giant deer, but they're ghosts. You know what I mean?
They don't get
Yeah.
that big from being stupid.
Yeah,
me
that's
and
how-
me and Jeremy actually seen a deer. Was it last year we seen that giant out of the boat?
Yeah.
A giant. I mean, it was one of the, other than the Shane Frost deer and the deer I'd seen afterwards chasing that doe, me and Jeremy boated up on a deer last year that was a typical, it was the biggest typical deer that I've ever seen in my life. And, no one ever killed it. No one's even talked about it. They're ghosts. You just see these deer and you don't want to tell people about them because everybody's like, oh, you're lying,
yeah.
But just ghosts.
That's like that
Several
big
years.
one.
Yeah.
This year we was hunting this year, and I'm pretty picky. Like I'm illegal buck around here is a good buck, but you can ask Noah. He gets mad at me. I send him videos all the time of legal deer walking by me, and I just won't shoot them. But if I'm not going to put it on my wall, I'm just not going to shoot it. I'm that type of guy. But we got back to the boat one morning, and we was going. We hadn't made it 2 bends upriver from where that. It was across the river from where he shot his buck on Halloween, and we hadn't made it 2 bends, and there was a giant buck standing there, just right on the riverbank. And hell, we put 4 or 5 trail cameras within a mile radius of that area and never got a picture of that deer. Not
Really?
in all the spots you would think, like side of the slough, this side of the slough, in the middle of the thicket. Hell, we found a rub out there on a tree that big around. We was like, this has got to be him. We hung cameras everywhere and never got a picture of that deer.
Actually, we never, out of the public land that we hunt, which we hunt a couple different tracks, of public land around here because we got some good ones. But the one
Arkansas has a
mainly
bunch
hunt,
of public ground. That's one good
Yeah.
thing about Arkansas. They got a bunch of public ground.
we hung, I don't know, between me, Skylar, Logan, Jeremy, and a couple other people that we had access to cameras being shared to us, or people that just tell each other what we have. I probably had 20 or 30 cameras on this public ground, and the deer never got seen. Unless the picture that I sent got in the high water, we can't decide if that's him or not. We might have got one picture of that giant 10-point that we've seen all year out of 30 cameras on him.
And it's just not like you can't like really make sure that that's really him.
No, we can't justify that that's really him. I got one picture one night when the water got up of him headed upriver, and we can't even look at him and justify that that's the same deer because we honestly think the deer that we seen was bigger than him. But just like that, we got 30 cameras in there, and we never get a picture of a deer that we know is there, that we seen there. You know what I mean? They're just so smart, and it seems like the pressure we get down here nowadays, every deer is going to get smarter every year, but it seems like every year you go in to go hunting and you walk by more trail cameras, you walk by more people.
Get people on your trail camera.
And you're constantly getting people on your trail cameras, and then they think, I'm the type of guy where I'm not going to walk in and scout somewhere and then hunt it. Most of the time I'm just going to go hunt where I think I need to be hunting instead of going and walking for 2 hours and then finding a spot to hunt, and a lot of people you see nowadays, they're like, oh, you gotta scout this and you gotta scout that. I'm against that. I think you just need to go hunt.
The more pressure, the worse.
The more pressure you're putting on these animals, the smarter they are and the harder they're going to be to kill.
Right.
Is Arkansas an over-the-counter tag state?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're probably getting a lot of like Michiganders like us coming down there,
Well,
huh?
we didn't until the last 2 years, which in the last 5 years, it's gained interest around here. And we're starting to see more people from Arkansas coming to hunt here. But now you're starting to see an influx of people from all over the country coming in here and hunting.
And we're a really cheap as far as being if you're going to travel somewhere to hunt, you can hunt in Arkansas as cheap as you can hunt anywhere. Our tags are cheap, even out of state tags. They ain't nothing compared to like we were talking about before the podcast, going to go to Colorado and kill elk. That would cost 4 times as much as coming here to get whitetail tags.
Then you got the people like there was a big deer kill. What was it 3 years ago?
4 years ago, yeah.
A big deer, and it got a bunch of social media
attention. It was shared on Havoc Boat's page because it was in the front of a Havoc boat, and
everybody started hunting a dead deer.
Congrats to the dude for killing it. It was like a 197 or something like that he killed.
It was as wide as you could about read. It was crazy.
Congrats to the dude for killing it. But that deer drew so much attention, and ever since that deer was killed, it's just been pressure off the walls.
It's crazy.
And normally we wouldn't get people because the mosquitoes will damn carry you off down here. So early season, no one would hunt the public ground because anywhere close to water, you're gonna die of malaria. Now you can go down there early season, and there's gonna be 6 to 12 trucks at the boat ramp hunting early season, and you're like, what the hell is wrong with you guys? Like, chill the fuck out a little bit,
Right.
Man, I'd be going in there and fogging that shit before.
And like we're talking about this, the tract of public land we hunt a lot. It's both sides of the river's woods. Well, everything around it for miles is ag fields, and like the early season pressure, I don't really understand it because them deer are still out in them ag fields that time of the year. I've hung cameras down there the last several years in September, but almost until that first cold front in October, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
When the farmers start getting the crops out, the deer start funneling into the woods. It's like they lose all their corn because we have a bunch of corn around here, and they start losing their hiding spots, and then they just go into the woods.
Oh.
Yeah, that's like what I was told by my hunting mentors is when they're cutting the corn, like get out there because you're going to see a bunch of new traffic.
Yep.
Yeah, everything changes when the crops come out.
Oh yeah.
But that's how down here you're just not gonna on the river bottoms. The deer's not there in the summer. They're around the river bottoms, but they're out in these small 1 to 10 acre thickets that are in the middle of these bean fields and corn fields, and you can go out in the summer and see several. You can go for a 2-hour drive in the afternoon around here and find several 150 plus inch deer out in these ag fields in the summer, and come winter they go to big timber, so they go back to the ghost mode. Me and Skylar's almost certain that they got underground tunnels around here now because we can find a couple 160, 170 inch deer in the summer that are never seen again as soon as they drop velvet. We can't ever figure them out. And some of them are the same deer for 2 or 3 years. And we find them in the summer and change it up on them when they start changing velvet. And we never see them again until they're back in velvet again. So me and Skylar were like, these damn things got to have some underground tunnels they're living in or something because we can't find them anywhere.
They're hunting you.
We got a damn buddy. He cracks me up. He's not ever been really a big deer hunter, but he's trying to get into it. Well, he's got a little tract of ground. He ain't got 10 damn acres, and he feeds corn there starting about in July, and it's not far from the river bottoms. Well, the last 2 years, he's trying to get in this hunting, and he'll get the biggest damn deer around on camera, and he'll keep it until it sheds its velvet and it goes to the river, and then he gets a picture of it on some dude's tailgate, and he's mad. And I'm like, that deer's not going to live in that 20 acres. He's going down there to be in the big woods, But he just gets mad. He don't understand why he can't keep them there. And I'm like, they're bred in to go down there. They're not staying in that 20 acres.
Yeah, he had a giant, typical 12-point. I mean, the prettiest 12-point you've ever seen in your life this year. Show up out of nowhere this summer, and it ended up scoring 176, I think.
Yeah.
Guy on some private ground on the river killed it and sent Bryce a picture of it. But Bryce was honestly happy to see that guy kill it, because early September there was some funky business go down over there, and a couple rifle shots were heard, and another one of the poaching things like we had on the other side of the river this year. And me and Bryce had both thought that, because Bryce had got a picture of it that morning and never got a picture of it again after all this had happened. So me and Bryce had both agreed that the deer had probably been poached. So we was actually happy to see it get killed during the gun season, because it wasn't poached like we thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
But the day that all funky business happened, I think that they missed him. And that's what made him move that day, because that morning he was on his regular schedule. And then after all that happened, he was never back in there again. So I'm saying that he was trying to get poached and either got missed or something had happened and it ran him back to the river. But at least that deer wasn't poached like the other giants around here were this year.
Yeah, that's probably like one of the worst ways to see one of your shooters go.
Yeah.
I'd probably, put that just under putting a bad shot on them.
Yeah.
Hit
by a
but it still
car. I
stings.
don't know how many deer. That's what happened to the one last year's big buck got killed in the bottoms. The one before that, his piece of property, there's a highway that runs between it and the river, and it got ran over between there and the river, moving back and forth at night, But he got lucky, and the old boy actually brought the horns to him and let him keep it. And he's like, man, I don't want them. And you got all these trail camera pictures of this deer. He's like, you can have these horns.
Yeah, you can just about every year on that little 10, 15 acre tract of woods that he's got, he's going to get a 160 plus deer in it every year. But when they drop velvet, he always loses them, and he always gets pissed. And we're like, dude, you think after 5 years you get used to it?
Well, Dan, we're getting ready to wrap up the show. Is there any last questions that you'd like to ask them before we let them go?
Not really. Just if there was anything that you guys had that you wanted to talk about that we didn't cover, feel free, or any questions you had for us, anything you guys forgot to ask, feel free.
I think I feel good about wrapping it up.
Yeah. Same.
Sure
I'm
Mama's
getting a
at
little
home.
tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mama's at home pissed at me because I'm still not there.
Yeah. I'm going to go talk to my wife too. But yeah, man, thank you guys for your time tonight. And we enjoyed talking to more people from Arkansas. I'm definitely going to take that approach and sprinkle that into my routine a couple of times at least. And you'll be hearing from me if it works.
See if it works.
Let me know if it works out for you like it has me. It's definitely, like I say, that's the biggest thing over the years that I know for sure has helped me.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to definitely try that for now, because I hunt some morning hunts here and there, but not all the time. And I'm always in there at like 5 o'clock in the morning, 2 hours before the sunlight even breaks. So
yeah,
I'll try that one here and there. Yeah.
But hell yeah. Well, thank you guys, and have a good rest of your night and a good weekend.
Yeah, y'all get tagged out and want to come shoot some ducks, holler at us.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thanks, guys.
We'll hook you up.
Yeah,
Have a good night, fellas.
All right,
yeah.
Oh man, that was fun talking to them.
Yeah. Well, usually the more people, the more entertaining you can get a conversation going. But yeah,
that
man,
is true.
Arkansas sounds pretty cool. It sounds like they got quite a bit of quality deer down there.
Yeah. I was watching this video. Actually, no, I'm not going to make that comment. I'm going to leave that comment to myself, actually. And I really did, though, trying to bleep my swearing. Oh, hey, I did it the first fucking time tonight, but we'll work on
It's
it.
hard to do it live.
Well,
You
yeah,
know, it's better if you just do it afterwards and then you go through and clean it up.
But what kind of fucking
Potty mouth.
fun is that? Well, Dan, anything you would like to say? I mean, this was the last show before we move on to the next state of Colorado.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, man. It was fun wrapping up Arkansas, and yeah, man. You have a good weekend, and yeah, we'll be in touch. Get everything lined up for the Colorado week.
I'm looking forward to that Colorado week.
Colorado.
Yeah, man, that was fun, and I'm looking forward to a good weekend. And next one, we're going into Colorado.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.